The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the peaceful kind that makes you feel safe in your own home, but the kind that hums with something unnatural. The kind that makes the walls feel like they're listening. It started at 6:43 p.m. I remember the exact time because I looked at the clock right before I pulled into the driveway. My hand was still on the steering wheel, and my knuckles were pale, rigid. I'd sat in the car for nearly 8 minutes with the engine running, unsure if I should go inside. That wasn't normal. But then again, nothing had felt normal for a while. I could hear muffled laughter through the front window, which was odd because we didn't have company. Or we weren't supposed to. I walked in through the garage and stood there for a few seconds in the dark, listening. The TV was on, tuned to something stupid and loud, probably to cover other sounds. Footsteps moved quickly upstairs. Then the door to the master bedroom clicked shut. I stood in the hallway waiting. Then, like clockwork, the door opened again and she appeared. Rachel, my wife of nearly 9 years. Her hair was damp, twisted up in a towel. She wore an oversized hoodie I didn't recognize and a pair of old shorts I hadn't seen in months. Her face looked flushed, but not like she just finished a workout. She smiled when she saw me, like everything was perfectly fine. "Hey babe," she said, brushing past me like I was furniture. "You're home early." I wasn't. I was on time. I followed her into the kitchen, my shoes making soft, slow taps against the hardwood. She grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge and downed half of it before saying anything else. "Everything okay?" she asked, like it was me who looked out of place. I nodded once, sat down at the kitchen island and just watched her. Her movements were off. I knew her tells, the way her voice got sharper when she was nervous, how she bit the inside of her cheek when she was trying to lie. She wasn't biting her cheek this time. She'd evolved. I looked at her wrist and noticed her watch was gone. A tan line where it used to be. "Where's your Fitbit?" I asked casually. She glanced down, then smiled too quickly. "Oh, I left it at the gym." "Which gym?" She hesitated. "The new one on 8th. Jen told me about it." I knew that was a lie. Jen moved to Boston 6 months ago. I nodded again, silent, just letting her talk. That's the thing about liars, they hate silence. It gives them too much room to trip over their own stories. "You're acting weird," she said, frowning. "What's going on?" There it was. The shift. The pressure on me to explain her behavior. "I saw someone," I said slowly, "outside, when I was coming in. Looked like they left through the back gate." She froze for a fraction of a second, then laughed. A little too hard. "What? No, you're probably seeing things. No one's here. No one's here." The house smelled like sweat and cologne that wasn't mine. I could still hear the upstairs bathroom fan humming. She turned away, started scrolling through her phone like nothing mattered. Then she looked up again, eyebrows raised, and said it like it was a challenge. "Are you jealous?" I leaned forward, watched her, really watched her, the little twitch in her eye, the defensive tilt of her chin. "No," I said, calm as ice, "just done." And for the first time, her face fell. Not in guilt, not in fear, but in annoyance, like I was ruining her evening. She didn't ask what I meant. She didn't deny anything. She just muttered, "Don't be dramatic," and walked into the living room. That's when it hit me. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't scared of losing me. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. She just didn't care that I didn't follow her into the living room. I just sat there at the kitchen island, my fingers tracing the edge of the granite countertop like I needed something solid to hold on to. Behind me, the television droned on. Some idiotic dating show filled with fake tension and over-rehearsed lines. Fitting. She was curled on the couch, legs tucked under her like she hadn't just brushed past the ruins of our marriage. Like I hadn't just told her I was done, and she hadn't cared enough to ask why. Or maybe she knew exactly why, and didn't think it was worth acknowledging. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A single message. From an unknown number. "You deserve to know what's really going on." I stared at it for a long time. No name, no context, just those words. My heart thudded in my chest, loud enough I thought she might hear it over the TV. But she didn't even glance my way. I texted back, "Who is this?" No answer. I stood up, walked upstairs. The bedroom smelled faintly of her body lotion and something else. Something unfamiliar. I pulled open the drawers. Her gym bag sat in the corner, unzipped. Inside, a pair of heels, lipstick, a charger, and a receipt. Room 504, Westside Inn. 2 days ago. 1 king bed. One night. I stared at it, not moving. The room was spinning around me, but I was still. When I came back downstairs, she was laughing at something on her phone. Still no shame, no concern, just scrolling and smirking. I sat down across from her and laid the receipt on the coffee table. She didn't even blink. "You went through my stuff?" she said, raising an eyebrow like I was the one out of line. "That's your takeaway?" I asked. My voice didn't rise. I didn't yell. I was too tired. She scoffed. "It's not what you think." I almost laughed. The line. The classic line. "You booked a hotel room for the night while I was out of town for work." "I needed space," she said. "I didn't want to be alone in the house." "And Travis? Did he need space too?" Her jaw tensed. Just slightly. That was all the confirmation I needed. "You were checking my messages?" "No," I said. "He was careless. His profile picture was in the group photo you posted last weekend. He's in the background. Arm around you. You cropped him out of the Instagram version." For a second, just 1 second, she looked nervous. Then it vanished, and something colder took its place. "You're being pathetic," she said, standing up. "This isn't some movie. People drift apart. Grow up." She walked toward the stairs like the conversation was over. And maybe it was, because in that moment, I realized what hurt the most wasn't that she cheated. It was that she didn't even think I was worth lying to anymore. I didn't sleep that night. Not a minute. I lay in the guest room because she had gone to bed in our room like it still belonged to her, like it didn't reek of betrayal, and stared at the ceiling, the slow-moving fan casting warped shadows across the walls. Each rotation was a metronome counting down the seconds I wasted pretending I didn't already know. I kept hearing her voice in my head. "You're being pathetic." The way she said it, flat, almost bored. Not a spark of regret. Like I was just another inconvenience in her otherwise thrilling little side life. Around 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Same number as before. "He's not the only one." I stared at the message for a long time. I could feel something slow and cold trickle down my spine. Not just pain. Not just betrayal. Humiliation. "Who are you?" I wrote back again. This time, a response came quickly. "You don't know me, but I know her, and I've seen it with my own eyes. She's not just seeing Travis." The words twisted my gut. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. I wanted this to be some sick prank. But deep down, I already knew it wasn't. "How many?" I typed. A pause. Then, 3. That I know of. Travis, Paul, and one guy she calls only on Thursdays. I stared at that last line until it blurred. Only on Thursdays. I don't know how long I sat there. At some point the room stopped feeling like mine. The house stopped feeling like mine. Everything I thought I built with her, every damn memory was rotting from the inside. By the time morning light seeped through the blinds, I'd made a decision. When I walked into the kitchen, she was already dressed. Coffee in hand. Hair done. Not a trace of guilt on her face. "You're up early," she said casually. I nodded, pulled out a chair. She didn't sit. "I've been thinking," I said. She tilted her head, sipped her coffee, waiting. "I want you out." That hit. I saw it in the blink. The subtle shift. But she covered it fast. "Oh, really? And where exactly do you expect me to go?" I stood up slowly, walked over to the counter, and slid her the envelope. Inside, copies of the hotel receipt, printouts of her bank charges at restaurants she claimed were solo lunches, and a note, handwritten, from one of the other women involved. Apparently, she'd slept with her coworker's husband too. Small world. "I don't care where you go," I said, voice steady. "But you're not staying here." Her expression hardened. That same cold, detached stare. "You can't just throw me out of my house." I laughed. Sharp. Bitter. Funny. You mean our house? The one I paid for while you were busy with Travis, Paul, and Thursday guy. She slammed the coffee mug down. You're acting like a psycho. No, I said. I'm acting like someone who's finally stopped lying to himself. She didn't reply, just stood there, jaw clenched, eyes narrowing like she wanted to spit venom but couldn't find the words. And that silence between us? It was the first honest thing we'd shared in a year. She didn't pack right away. She stormed upstairs, slammed the bedroom door like she was the one who'd been betrayed, and stayed in there for hours. No yelling, no pleading, no apologies, just silence. That awful, calculated silence that made my skin itch. By noon, I was sitting outside on the patio with a beer in hand and a headache that wouldn't quit. It was a weekday. I called off work for the first time in 6 years. Told my boss I had family issues. He didn't ask questions. I think I sounded like a man teetering on the edge. Around 1:45 p.m., she came out of the house wearing sunglasses, an overnight bag slung over her shoulder, and keys in hand. She looked like she was heading to brunch with friends, not leaving the wreckage of our marriage behind. She walked right past me, didn't even glance my way. I didn't ask where she was going. She didn't offer. She stopped at the gate, turned slightly, and said flatly, "You're seriously blowing this out of proportion." That was it. That was the last thing she said before getting in her car and driving off like she was going to the grocery store. And just like that, she was gone. I sat there for a long time, watching the wind stir the leaves, trying to remember where it all started, trying to find the exact moment I lost her, or if I ever really had her in the first place. I'd always thought we were solid. Not perfect, sure. We had rough patches like everyone else. But this wasn't a rough patch. This was demolition. I went back inside and stood in our bedroom doorway. Her side of the closet was still full, makeup scattered on the vanity, her slippers by the bed, like she'd be back by dinner, maybe with a smug little smile and another excuse ready. But she wasn't coming back to fix anything. She was waiting to see if I'd cave. And that made my blood boil, because she thought I would. She expected me to be weak, to grovel, to beg. That's what cut the deepest. Knowing she thought so little of me that she assumed I'd endure this humiliation and then just swallow it. I opened her dresser drawer and found the burner phone. Cheap, hidden beneath old scarves she never wore. I turned it on. It was already open to a text thread with someone saved as C. Can't stop thinking about last time. Her. You know Thursday's our thing, winky face. Thursday guy. Real. Another message from 2 weeks ago. See, he's clueless, right? Her. Please. He's too boring to notice anything. I sat down on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, and let those words sink in. Boring. That's what I was to her. After nearly a decade of loyalty. After supporting her when she lost her job. After helping her through her dad's funeral. After 1,000 tiny acts of love she clearly never valued. Too boring to notice anything. I took a deep breath, set the phone down carefully, and walked into the bathroom. Looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't see the same man anymore. I saw someone being rebuilt. Slowly, painfully, but this time without her. The thing about betrayal, it's not just the moment you find out. It's every moment after that. Every second you breathe with the knowledge that the person you trusted most had been lying while looking you straight in the eye. That Friday, her sister, Madison, called me. I didn't expect it. "Hey, is everything okay with you too?" she asked cautiously. I almost laughed. "You tell me." I didn't spill everything at once. Just said Rachel wasn't home. Said she'd been staying somewhere else for a bit. There was a long pause on the other end, then a sigh. "I'm gonna ask you something," Madison said, her voice low. "And I need you to be honest with me. Okay?" "Sure." "Has she been seeing other people?" That hit me like a punch in the chest. She knew, or at least suspected. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. "God," Madison muttered. I told her this would blow up. She said it was under control. I clenched the phone harder. "So she told you?" "Not everything. But I knew about Travis. And that guy from her office. She swore it was nothing serious. Said she was just figuring herself out. I went quiet. My vision tunneled. Figuring herself out. What a neat little phrase for detonating someone's life. You should have told me, I said quietly. I wanted to, but she's my sister, and I hoped she'd stop. I thought maybe she'd realize what she was risking. She didn't. Madison sounded tired. No, she didn't. After we hung up, I sat there in the kitchen, surrounded by traces of a life that suddenly felt fake. The fridge still had her almond milk. Her stupid sticky notes were still on the cabinets. Buy lemons? Don't forget gym bag. Smile, smiley face, like some parody of domestic bliss. That afternoon, she showed up. No warning. No knock. Just the sound of her key in the lock and the door creaking open. She walked in like she still owned the place, wearing leggings and a hoodie that didn't belong to me. Her hair was wet, freshly showered. She looked at me at the kitchen table and said, "We need to talk." I didn't move, just stared. She sat across from me, started rubbing her temples like she was the one under stress. I think we rushed things. Marriage. All of it. I wasn't ready. My jaw tightened. We were married for 9 years. I know, and I thought I'd grow into it. But I haven't. I feel suffocated. I waited. I wanted her to say it. I wanted her to look me in the eye and admit what she'd done. She didn't. Instead, she leaned forward and said, "I think we should take a break, clear our heads, maybe go to therapy later if it makes sense." That's when I stood up. "No," I said flatly. She blinked. "What do you mean?" "I'm not doing a break. I'm not doing therapy. I'm not doing figuring things out. I'm doing done." She scoffed. "So you're just throwing everything away?" I laughed once. Sharp. Cold. "I didn't throw anything away. You did. When you let 3 other men treat you like a secret, while I was making you my home." She opened her mouth, stunned for once, but I was already walking away. I didn't look back. Not when she called my name. Not when she followed me down the hall. Not even when the door slammed as she left. Because something in me had shifted. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finally on my own side. The next morning was quiet. Not peaceful, empty. There's a certain kind of silence that only follows destruction. A vacuum. The kind where even the creak of floorboards feels like it echoes too long. I stood in the kitchen with the sun bleeding through the windows, staring at the mug she always used. Still there, chipped at the rim, lipstick faint on the edge. I didn't touch it. I just left it like evidence. Around 9:20 a.m., my lawyer called me back. I'd left a message the night before, right after she walked out. The voice on the other end was sharp, professional, but not cold. "You're sure this is what you want?" she asked. "I'm sure." I hadn't planned to make the call that soon. But some decisions start making themselves once the mask falls away and you see the person beneath it. The lawyer started walking me through the process. Division of assets. The house. The bank accounts. The car, technically mine. I was calm. Too calm. Like I'd spent all my emotion and had nothing left but action. 3 hours later, Rachel texted. Can we talk without yelling this time? I'm coming over." I didn't respond. At 1:13 p.m., she was at the door again. This time she knocked. She looked different. No makeup. Hoodie pulled tight around her like armor. Sunglasses hiding her eyes. She stepped inside, slow, tentative. "I don't want to fight," she said, standing in the doorway like a guest. "You're not staying," I replied. "Say what you came to say." She bit her lip. "I've been thinking, and maybe I handled this wrong." "Okay, definitely wrong. But I never meant to hurt you. I didn't even blink." "You didn't mean to," I said, voice low. "You just did. Over and over." "I got lost," she whispered. "Things haven't felt right for a long time. You stopped noticing me. I felt invisible." I nodded. "So you decided to make yourself visible to 3 other men instead." Her face twisted. "It wasn't like that." "Yes," I said, stepping forward. "It was exactly like that." She looked around the room, desperate for something. Sympathy? Maybe. or guilt to latch onto. But I had nothing left to give her. "I'm not proud of it," she muttered. "You're not ashamed either," I said. "If I hadn't found out, you'd still be doing it." Silence. The air was thick with everything we'd never said. Everything she didn't want to admit. "I never hated you," she said finally, voice small. "You didn't have to," I replied. "You just stopped caring." Her shoulders slumped. "I'll come back for the rest of my stuff," she said, barely audible. "Let me know when. I'll make sure I'm not here." She nodded, then hesitated like she wanted to say more. Instead, she turned, walked to the door, and left without another word. And that was the real end. Not some screaming match. Not a broken plate or a dramatic goodbye. Just a quiet door closing behind a woman I no longer recognized. The days after she left were strange. Not like I expected. I thought I'd feel free, like some weight had been lifted off my chest. I thought I'd wake up to clean air, a clean house, and the clean conscience of a man who finally chose himself. But no, what I felt was disorientation. The bed was too big. The silence was too thick. Every room in the house echoed with the phantom of her. Her perfume in the closet, her hairbrush still on the bathroom sink, her Netflix profile still on the TV screen. Everything reminded me of a woman who'd gutted the foundation of our life and walked away like it was just some boring TV pilot she didn't feel like finishing. I started noticing things I hadn't before. She'd erased herself slowly, like she'd been preparing for the exit long before it came. One drawer at a time. One little lie at a time. There were receipts in the trash from months ago. Flights I didn't know she took. Spa charges in a city we never visited together. Uber rides to neighborhoods she claimed to hate. And then I found it. A memory card. She used to keep it in a camera we took on vacations. The one we hadn't touched since before the pandemic. I only noticed it because the lens had dust on it, but the card slot was empty. I found the card in a jewelry box she kept under the bed, tucked into a pouch behind some old earrings. I hesitated before plugging it into my laptop. Something in me already knew. The screen flickered to life. Photo folder /private/. I clicked. The first few were innocent enough. Selfies in hotel mirrors, food photos, her smiling in dresses I'd never seen before. But then the others started. Her with Travis. Her with another man I didn't recognize, taken from what looked like inside a car, the angle low and close. Her in a towel, kissing someone whose face was just out of frame. And worst of all, videos. Not graphic but personal. Her laughing in bed with someone, whispering things. Her looking directly into the camera. Smirking, mouthing something I couldn't hear but understood with perfect clarity. He has no idea. I closed the laptop. I sat there for a long time. Not angry, not shocked, just numb. Like someone had pulled the plug and drained everything out of me. There was no more doubt. No more room for excuses. She didn't just cheat. She planned it. Enjoyed it. Relished the thrill of getting away with it. This wasn't a marriage. It was a long con. The grief hit after. And when it did, it didn't come in waves, it came like a blackout. No crying. Just hours disappearing from the clock. I found myself sitting on the floor of the hallway at 2 a.m., staring at nothing, unsure how long I'd been there. I thought about messaging her, sending her the photos, throwing her digital betrayal back in her face. But then I realized, what for? There's no satisfaction in showing a fire to the one who lit the match. She'd already burned it all. By the end of that week, something strange began to settle in. Not peace, not clarity, but detachment. A quiet withdrawal from every emotion I'd been drowning in. It wasn't healing, not yet. It was more like staring at the remains of a crash site after the smoke had cleared. You stop searching for survivors. You just start cataloging damage. She texted again on Saturday. I'll be by tomorrow to get the rest of my things. Can you not be home? Not can we talk? Not I'm sorry. Not even thank you for the years I gave her. Just logistics. Cold, mechanical, like she was coordinating a package pickup. I replied, keys in the lockbox. Same code. Then I turned off my phone for the rest of the weekend. On Sunday, I came home in the evening. The drawers were half empty. Her vanity was cleared, closet hollow, but she'd left a few things behind, intentionally, I think. A blouse she knew I always liked, a hair tie wrapped around the bedpost, her favorite mug, the one I used to bring her coffee in every morning. Little ghosts, left behind to haunt me. But what broke me wasn't what she took. It was what I found folded neatly on my nightstand. A letter, handwritten, slanted, rushed handwriting, like she'd written it in the car, like it was a formality, a final performance before the curtain fell. I didn't want to read it. I read it anyway. I know you hate me right now. Maybe you always will. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't think I even deserve it. But I wanted to say a few things, whether or not they matter to you anymore. What I did was selfish. I know that. I knew it even while I was doing it. I told myself stories to make it okay. That I was unfulfilled, that you didn't see me, that we'd grown apart. But none of those things gave me the right to betray you the way I did. The truth is, I didn't want to be seen. I wanted escape, tension, control. And I found it in the worst places. You were good to me, better than I ever deserved. And that's probably why I resented you deep down. Because I knew I was the one poisoning what we had. I'm not asking you to understand. Just to believe that not all of it was fake. I loved you once. Maybe part of me still does. But I don't know who I am anymore. And I'm not asking you to wait around while I figure it out. Goodbye. R. I read it twice. Then I folded it back up and shoved it in the bottom drawer, beneath a pile of old tax documents. And I didn't cry, because what was there left to cry over? She said she didn't expect forgiveness, and she was right. All she left behind was a mess, and her version of closure. But I wasn't interested in her closure. I was building my own. I started cleaning the house obsessively. Not like spring cleaning. Not to tidy up. I mean purging. Scrubbing every trace of her out of the walls, the floors, the air. The sheets went first straight into a garbage bag. Her shampoo, her conditioner, the half-used eyeliner she left in the bathroom drawer, all gone. I took down every photo of us, stuffed them into a box, and shoved it into the attic without looking twice. It was like exorcism by bleach and trash bags. Because grief, when it hardens, turns into something functional. It wants to do. So I gave it tasks. I gave it reasons to stay busy. I gave it permission to stop replaying her voice in my head and start reclaiming the life she thought I'd never rebuild without her. The house started to feel different. Bigger. Quieter. Still haunted, but not by her, by the version of me who used to worship the ground she walked on. That man was dead. I buried him with every drawer I emptied. And yet, the damage wasn't just emotional. The fallout started rolling in from other directions. Monday morning, I got a call from our joint bank. Unusual transactions. She had drained nearly $3,000 from our shared account. Money I'd stupidly left sitting during the chaos. Spa visits. A weekend Airbnb. A tab at some beachfront bar 3 hours south. I called her. Straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. I called the lawyer. She filed the motion to freeze the account within the hour. By the end of the day, Rachel's access was gone. That night, a new number texted me. Unknown. Really? Freezing the account? Grow the hell up. I stared at the screen. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I replied, use your own money next time. Blocked. She had underestimated me. That much was clear. And the more I reclaimed, the more it became obvious how deeply she had assumed I'd never fight back. That I'd curl up, stay quiet, and lick my wounds while she played victim to her new audience. But I wasn't interested in playing along anymore. I was building a paper trail. Her purchases, the burner phone, the messages from her sister, the unknown whistleblower who kept feeding me truths she didn't know I had. I was done reacting. I was preparing. Because the next time we met, it wouldn't be in the kitchen with her smirking and tossing half-truths like candy. It wouldn't be emotional. It wouldn't be dramatic. It would be surgical, cold, strategic, and it would be the last conversation we ever had. She showed up unannounced again, exactly 1 week after her last visit. This time, she didn't text first. No heads up, no warning, Just the sound of tires crunching the driveway gravel and the faint knock at the front door. Not urgent, not apologetic, just there. I didn't answer right away. I let her stand in the heat, sunglasses on, arms crossed, checking her phone like she was waiting for a brunch reservation. Finally, I opened the door, not wide, just enough to make her feel the difference. She took one look at me and said, "Seriously? The silent treatment now?" I stepped aside, said nothing, and let her walk in. She paused when she saw the house. The living room had been rearranged, couch angled differently, curtains replaced, her plants gone, her framed live, laugh, love signs from Target gone. Even the rug she'd picked out during that weekend trip to Austin, tossed and replaced with something colder, cleaner. I watched her take it all in. "What is this?" she asked. "This," I said calmly, "is mine now." She blinked. "I came to talk about the divorce," she said finally, dropping her bag on the floor. "No," I replied. "You came to see if I'd still fold." That pulled a reaction. She stepped closer, eyes narrow. "You've been freezing accounts, digging through my private messages. What are you trying to prove?" "I'm not trying to prove anything," I said. "I'm just finally acting like someone who knows who he married." She scoffed. "So you're gonna punish me now? Is that it? You did that part all on your own." I walked past her, opened the file folder on the table. I handed her copies of every transaction she'd made with our money, every hotel stay, every charge to TG Personal Trainer or Riviera Wellness Spa. I handed her a printout of the burner phone log, and the icing on the cake, the notarized witness statement, courtesy of Madison. She flipped through it, her face draining by the second. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. "No, this is evidence," I said. "I'm filing for divorce on grounds of adultery and misappropriation of joint funds. You'll be served next week. Don't come here again." Her lip curled. "You really think you're going to come out on top?" I met her eyes. "I already have." She stared at me for a long time, waiting. For what? I don't know. A crack in my voice, a twitch of regret, some sign that I still needed her. But there was nothing, because I didn't. She turned without another word, grabbed her bag, and left. This time, I didn't watch her go. This time, I closed the door before she reached her car, and locked it. The papers were filed on a Tuesday. It was raining, one of those slow, heavy storms that feel like they've been waiting in the wings for days. I walked into the courthouse alone, signed the documents in a stiff leather chair, and walked back out with the kind of calm that doesn't make sense at first. A calm born from certainty, not relief. The petition listed everything: her infidelity, the bank records, the timeline. My lawyer had been thorough, surgical. She said I'd done everything right, that with what we had, Rachel's chances of taking much from me were slim. She'd be entitled to some equity, sure, but the house was staying with me, my savings protected, and her new boyfriend or boyfriends wouldn't be factored into the financial conversation, at least not officially. That night, I went home and poured a drink, not to celebrate, not to mourn, just to mark the day. I sat in the backyard under the porch light, watching the rain slice through the grass, and let myself breathe without her shadow stretching over me. And then, around 10:17 p.m., she called. Blocked number. But I knew it was her. I let it ring. Then a voicemail came through. I didn't want to listen. I made myself. I didn't expect you to go this far. You didn't even try. After everything, you just threw it away. I thought maybe eventually you'd cool down. But you've changed. You're not the man I married anymore. She was crying. I could hear it. Real or rehearsed, I didn't care anymore. I don't know who you are. And maybe that's what hurts the most. I thought I could control this. I thought I knew you. I didn't. She paused. Goodbye. Click. I sat there for a long time with the phone in my lap, listening to the last drops of rain tap against the gutter. And all I could think was, good. Let her grieve the version of me she could manipulate. Let her cry over the man she thought she'd broken. Because that man was gone. And what stood in his place wasn't bitter, or spiteful or vengeful. Just finished. Completely, absolutely finished. It's been 3 months. The house is quieter now, but not hollow. Not haunted. Still mine. Maybe more mine than it ever was before. There are new curtains, new art on the walls. Her old hand-picked furniture is gone, replaced by pieces I chose for no one but myself. The kitchen's different. The coffee mugs are all mine. The space no longer apologizes for her absence. I got the final court notice 2 weeks ago. Divorce granted, assets settled, everything stamped and signed. Just like that, 9 years became a paper trail. A closed file. A box I will never open again. People always say betrayal changes you. They're wrong. It doesn't change you. It reveals you. It pulls back the curtain on who you really are, what you'll tolerate, what you'll swallow just to keep the peace, and what you'll finally burn when you realize peace was never yours to begin with. I spent years excusing her silences, defending her flinches, worshipping crumbs of affection like they were proof of love, and she walked all over it, smiled while she did it. But I thank her now, not out of grace, not out of some higher wisdom, but because she made the choice for me. She exposed herself. She tore away the illusion. And now I know how to spot the difference between love and dependency, between being chosen and being used. I go for long drives sometimes, no destination, just windows down, music up, old memories drifting through the wind like smoke. They don't hurt anymore. They don't sting. Because I'm not angry. I'm not bitter. I'm not even sad. I'm clean. So if you're reading this and you're where I was, on the edge in the fog, convincing yourself it's not that bad, let me tell you this. It is that bad. And you deserve to leave. You deserve truth. You deserve a life that doesn't make you shrink to survive. Don't wait for permission. Walk away while you still recognize yourself. That was the lesson. That was the end. And that, finally, is freedom.